Hi, in the last class we discussed about electromagnetic wave propagation in different media, right? So in this lecture it is about how electromagnetic wave is propagating energy through it, or how can we define the power in an electromagnetic wave. So that is what we are going to discuss today, and this lecture is on Poynting's theorem. We will see what is meant by Poynting's theorem through this lecture. So basically, energy can be transported, right? That is why, like for a radio station or something, radio waves are electromagnetic waves. You have a transmitter at one end and you have a receiver at another end, and your wave is traveling, right? Your wave is traveling. So, some energy, I can say that is transported from one side to another. So that way, energy can be transported from one point to another point by means of electromagnetic waves, right? Like it is quite easier to understand. Like when you throw a stone in water, you know how the waves are generated, right? The water gets oscillated. That you know. So and is propagated. Similarly, the electromagnetic wave is radiated, or electromagnetic waves is generated. How it is generated? Like you have a point charge. You have a point charge, and that will create an electric field, which is not varying with respect to time. Now, if you accelerate the point charge, what will happen? Like if you have a point charge and you are oscillating it this way through and fro, that will create this kind of oscillation around it. Understood? So that is how, yeah, and you can see that it's like a wave, and as distance goes, it is getting propagated also. So that way, energy is getting propagated in the form of in electromagnetic field in the form of electromagnetic waves. Let us get straight into the derivation. This equation is familiar to you. What is this equation? This is our Maxwell's third equation based on Faraday's law. What del cross E equal to minus dou B by dot T. Right. This is known to you. Now, what is B? B and H are related by mu, right? B equal to mu H. Since mu is a constant, we can take out the mu part, so it will become minus mu dou S by dot T. Right. So similarly, in this derivation, we will use another equation also, which is our Maxwell's fourth equation. What is Maxwell's fourth equation? Fourth Maxwell's equation is del cross H equal to J plus dot D by dot T. Right. So Ohm's law in point form, J we can write as what? Sigma times E. Right. J we can write as sigma times E, and the other part dot D by dot T. D and D means what? Electric flux density and electric field density E. They are related how? D equal to epsilon E. So in place of the D in this equation here, I am substituting epsilon E. So and the epsilon is a constant. So similar to the last equation, I am taking out epsilon. So this will become epsilon dou E by dot E. So these are the two equations that we are going to use here. Okay. So as I said, this is about power, right? This is mainly about power. So I want to take your attention to a particular term here. What is that term? Sigma E, or let me say J, right? In electric field in material space, while deriving other equation, we have seen Joule's law, right? Joule's law means what? We have seen that E dot J is the energy density, is the power density that we have seen, right? I believe you remember. E dot J is the power density, right? I think you remember. So in this Maxwell's equation, we have got the term J, right? We have got the term J. So we want to make it, we want to see power. So to get power, what we should be doing? We should be dotting this J with the electric field. Okay. So that is our ultimate intention, to make it in the form. If once we dot this equation with the electric field, what will happen? This E dot J will come, so that it will become the power density. It will be measured in watt per meter square. If you go back several lectures before, we have defined E dot J is power density. So then we will come into the power scenario. So to do that, we will dot both sides of the equation with the electric field. So what will happen? We will get E dot del cross H. On the right hand side, it is del cross H, right? So E dot del cross H. On the other side, this J now it has become in the terms of what power density already. So when I take dot product on this side, like J plus dot E by dot T, I have written in terms of what sigma E plus epsilon dot E by dot T. So this will become a sigma E square, right? This will become sigma E square. Okay, this is the conductive loss, I can say, right? Sigma J equal to sigma E, and when it becomes sigma E square, it is a conductive loss part. That's that energy density. So E dot del dot is equal to sigma E square plus when we dot this thing, E dot epsilon dot E by dot T, right? So this is what happens when we are dotting the both sides of the equation with the electric field density E. Now let us consider a vector identity. For that, consider that you have two vectors, vector A and vector B. So when you have two vectors, and if you take del dot A cross B, it is given by B dot del cross A minus A dot del cross B. It is quite similar. B dot del cross A and minus A dot del cross B. So that is the vector identity. Now let us consider A and B as magnetic field density and electric field density, H and E respectively. So if we apply that in that equation, means in the place of A and B, if apply H and E, we will get what? Del dot H cross E equal to E dot, right? E dot A del cross H minus H dot del cross E, right? So this is what we will get when we apply this vector identity del dot A cross B. Right. So in this the last slide we discussed something here. What is that? E dot del cross H, right? So E dot del cross H we can take out in this equation. So what is E dot del cross H? E dot del cross H is, then if we just rearrange, means take this H dot del cross E to the other side, then what we will get? We will get E dot del cross H as del dot H cross E plus H dot del cross E. So that is what we will obtain after rearranging this equation. Now, uh, we already have seen this equation, right? Del dot equation, right? Sigma E square plus E epsilon dot E by dot T. That is what E dot del cross H. So, in place of E dot del cross H, we can substitute this part. Means what? Del dot H cross E plus H dot del cross E. Understood? So this is our part here, del dot H cross E plus H dot del cross E equal to the from the last slide, whatever was the right hand side, it is the same, sigma E square plus E epsilon dot E by dot T. Now one more thing we are going to do here is this much only. So this much part of the equation is just the same. Let us just rearrange this vector E dot epsilon dot E by dot T. If we have to take out this vector E inside here, we let us say if we take dou E square by dot T, you can write what will be dou E square by dot T. Dou E square by dot T means what? Dou E square by dot T will be 2 E times dou E by 2 E times dou E by dot T, but here we have only E dou E by dot T. So in order to compensate that, we have this half portion here. You can try and see if you want this part. Okay, half into epsilon dou E square by dot T. This is the equation we have. Now let us consider the third Maxwell's equation. Till now we were dealing with what? The fourth Maxwell's equation, del cross H. Now let us take the third Maxwell's equation, or the curl of electric field. Del cross E equal to what? Minus dou B by dot T equal to minus mu dou H by dot T. This much we know. So if we dot, last time what we did, we were dotting with the electric field. So in the curl equation of electric field, we will dot with whom? We will be dotting with the magnetic field intensity H. So under that case, it will become H dot del cross E equal to what? Again, right hand side also you are dotting with the H only. Minus mu dot H by dot T is already there. When you dot it with vector H, you will have what? H dot minus mu dot H by dot T. Mu is a constant, and H you can take inside this thing. Then what you will get? You will get it as minus mu by 2 dou H square by dot T. Right? Just similar to minus 1 by 2 epsilon dou E. Here also you have to put this 2 to satisfy the equation. So minus mu by 2 dou H square by dot T. So that is H dot del cross E. I think you have already seen this H dot del cross E in the while dotting with E itself. What is that? Right. So this equation is already there. In this what you have got here, this H dot del cross E, we have a value already.
that we can substitute at this place, which is what minus mu by 2 dou h square by dot E. So if you substitute that, we will have what we are seeing here. Here in this equation, in the place of H dot del cross E, I am just writing minus this minus mu by 2 dou H square by dot E square, which we already defined here, right? The other one thing we are going to do here is that here it was H cross E, right? So in this we are just rearranging it as what minus E cross H. I just want to change the order. Like A cross B equal to what? A cross B is not equal to minus A cross B is not equal to B cross A, right? So we are just want to change the order. So what we are doing here, we are just changing the order here. A cross B is what? B cross is not equal to B cross A, it is equal to minus B cross A. So similarly H cross E, what? We can change the H cross E order to E cross H here, right? We can change the order to E cross H in this thing here. Now with that, what we do, what we are getting here, that is why we are getting this negative part here, because we are changing the order here. So minus del dot E cross H minus mu by 2 dou square by dot E equal to, the right hand side remains the same, right? So this is our formulation till now. This is the equation we derived from the last slide. Now let us see if we rearrange these terms. Means I want only one part here. Which part? This del dot E cross H. So I will take, this is a negative term, so I will take it to the other side and rearrange. If I do that, I will get this equation. Del dot E cross H equal to minus mu by 2 dou H square by dot T plus half epsilon dou E square by dot T minus sigma E square. Okay, so if you see here, this is our equation, right? Minus sigma E square. So this is what we get after rearranging. I am taking these two quantities together. What? Minus mu by 2 dou H square by dot T plus half epsilon dou E square by dot D. Right. So if I take the volume integral now, let us say this is E cross H, right? So we have a particular volume, and if I am taking the volume integral over this equation, what will happen? Over the volume integral, the same equation minus del dot E cross H. In this particular equation here, something is common, right? So all of them are getting differentiated toward dou by dot T. That dou by dot T I am taking out. So minus is already there, and there is this dou by dot T, right? Because the volume integral is with respect to what? With respect to space only, not with respect to time. So I took it out. Over the integral over the volume, what will be left? Half epsilon and E square, right? Half epsilon E square plus half mu h square. These two parts are something familiar to you, right? Half epsilon E square is what? That is the energy density when that is the energy density in an electric field, and this is what? This is the energy density in a magnetic field. These two equations we have already come across several times. So that this represents what? This is the energy, this speak about the energy stored in electric and magnetic field. And the other part here, what is this? Integral over the volume sigma E square dV. This is about what? This is about the conductive losses that is happening, right? And there is a dou by dot T also, right? So this is what our final equation here, and this is what I am going to use to define our Poynting's theorem. So what is Poynting's theorem? So this is the equation that we get. So if you see here, I am going to put one more thing here. What I am going to applying the divergence theorem on the left hand side. Divergence theorem means what? In the last slide we got del dot E cross H. So when I am have to apply divergence theorem, it becomes over the closed integral over the surface, right? Like this was, if this is the volume and if the surface, it's a closed surface which encloses that volume, then over the closed surface S, E cross H dot ds, right? Del dot E cross H will become over the volume integral will become what? Over the surface integral E cross H dot ds equal to the same equation minus dou by dot T half epsilon E square plus half mu H square dV minus sigma E square dV, right? So this is our equation here. Let us see. As I already said, sigma E square means what? Sigma E J. This is what? Sigma E means what? It is about conduction, right? Sigma J equal to sigma E is a conduction, and we have defined E dot J as what? That power density also. So this E dot J term or sigma E square, that is what? Power density. So once you integrate over the volume, what it will become? Before it was watt per meter cube, and once we integrate it over the volume, what it will become? It will become the power, right? So this is the ohmic power dissipated, and there are other two terms. What is this? What about this term? This term, first part here, what we will, this is the about the energy stored, half epsilon E square plus half mu H square over a volume, right? So you get the overall energy stored in the particular volume in its electric and magnetic field. Okay, not as conduction losses, in its electric and magnetic field. But there is a dou by dot t also, means what? That is the rate of decrease in energy stored in electric and magnetic fields, right? Dou by dot t means what? That is the rate. That is for sure. Dou by dot t means rate, sure. And this negative sign means what? That is the rate of decrease in energy stored in electric and magnetic fields. Right, that is the rate of energy, decrease in energy stored in electric and magnetic field. And if it is so, let us then what should be the left hand side of this equation? Then that should be the total power leaving the volume. Are you getting? Like if let us say we have a volume, and some power is leaving that volume. Whatever be the power leaving, inside that what we can have? Inside that you have some some two plates, let me say you have, and you have what the energy stored in that electric field, and you may have a conductor carrying current, that there you have the energy stored in magnetic field, right? So apart from that, whatever be the decrease happening, in the energy, and whatever loss is happening inside that volume, okay, reducing that only, like we are giving some power inside, and whatever power is leaving that volume, that is given, that will depend on what things. One thing is that how much energy is stored in your electric and magnetic field, right? Rate of decrease in the energy stored, and what the second part is the ohmic power dissipated. These are the two quantities. So this E cross H is this is what is meant by Poynting's theorem. This is what is meant by Poynting's theorem. Total power leaving the volume equal to rate of decrease in energy stored in the electric and magnetic fields minus ohmic power dissipated. This is what is meant by Poynting's theorem. Now let us have a more clear picture here. Consider that this is your volume, this irregular shape whatever I have drawn here, that is your volume, okay, and some power is coming inside, and what you have got, you have got two parallel plate or some arrangement inside that, okay, like it can even be a circuit also. So some arrangement inside that, where in your electric field your energy is getting stored. What will be that energy density? Half epsilon E square. So similarly, when you have a conductor carrying current, it will create a magnetic field, and that there also what will happen? There also your magnetic field, in the magnetic field you are storing your energy, right? Now apart from this, whenever this conductor is carrying current, it is having some conductivity or resistance, there will be ohmic loss also. So this is the three ways where your power can go once you get inside this, okay. Now the total power whichever is coming out of this volume, like the total power whichever is coming out of this volume will be equal to what? It will be equal to that decrease in the electron in its electric and magnetic fields, and what? Minus your conduction losses. That is what will be the total power coming out. Understood? So that is how we define the Poynting theorem. It states that the net power flowing out of a given volume V is equal to the time rate of decrease in the energy stored within V minus the ohmic losses, right? So that is what is meant by Poynting's theorem. Even it gets valid to our normal circuit theory also. So let us define the vector, Poynting vector. As I said, this E cross H, once we understood what is meant by these terms, then we got our understanding that this E cross H represents the quantity. This quantity is called as Poynting vector, and it is measured in which unit? Watts per meter square, right? This is measured in watts per meter square. So this quantity is called as what? This is vector P is E cross H. You can see that what it represents the instantaneous power density vector associated with the electromagnetic field at a given point, right? It represents the instantaneous power density vector associated with the electromagnetic field at a given point, right? It is defined at a point, E cross H. Then what it is equal to? It is equal to this minus dou by dt, half epsilon E square plus half mu H square. So we have minus sigma E square, right? So these terms, sigma E square represents the conductivity losses. This represents what? Energy density in electric and magnetic field. So definitely E cross H will tell you what? E cross H will tell you what is the instantaneous power density vector associated with the electromagnetic field at a given point, right? And the integration of that Poynting vector over any closed surface gives the net power flowing out of that surface. Whatever we discuss here, E cross H, you know, in a particular volume, and once you integrate over that volume, what you will get, whatever be the power going out, effective power going out, something will be coming in and something will be going out. Whatever is going out, that you will get by integrating the Poynting vector. And direction of Poynting vector means what? That is the direction of propagation of your power or your energy, right? So that is what, that is again what we already discussed. What? A E cross H means what? If your E electric field is in the x direction and your magnetic field is in the y direction, then what? Then the direction of E cross H means in the z direction. That is where your power is flowing. That is where your energy is getting transported. Okay, now that is why we call this vector as what? One way we call as that Poynting vector, means what? It directs in what? It tells you in which direction your energy is flowing or your power is going. Okay, so that is why it is also called as what? Poynting vector. Really, this Poynting, that is the name of the person who had this theory. And okay, it is not some other language and all. Okay, we often call it as Poynting vector also, on the basis of what? That it tells you, the E cross H, that tells you in which direction your wave is propagating or in which direction the energy is transported. Now, let us consider our electromagnetic field as what? On a general understanding, what our electromagnetic field, E of Zt, which is a variable of what? Z as well as time, right? Space as well as time, it is equal to E0 e raised to minus alpha z cos omega t minus beta z. In which direction it is varying? In the x direction, right? This is one general solution. Now, then what will be our H of Zt, means magnetic field? Magnetic field is given by E0 by eta. Eta is magnitude is taken here, and it will have what? That will have a angle also. So omega t minus beta z minus theta n. That is the angle of the intrinsic impedance. So right, this all things we already discussed. So we know these two things. Now, what is the Poynting vector? If we take the instantaneous Poynting vector P of Zt, we can just multiply these two things, right? E cross H. Since this is given in this form what, we can just multiply it. So it will become E0 square by eta. E raised to minus alpha z is common here as well as here. So when you multiply it, it will become e raised to minus 2 alpha z. And then what? The remaining cos terms, cos omega t minus beta z and cos omega t minus beta z minus theta n, right? So this is like what? Cos A, let us take as what? Cos A cos B. What is cos A cos B? Cos A 1 by 2 into cos A minus B plus cos A plus B. I think you still remember those math equations. So what you will get this as what? You will get this equation. Okay. So P of Zt is given like this, and if we integrate our, so we will get this. What if we add this? I think you don't have any doubt over here. If you take cos A minus B, omega t minus beta z and omega t minus beta z will cancel up. So what is left will be what? This theta n. So that is how your cos theta eta comes. The other term you added cos 2 omega t minus 2 beta z minus theta eta, right? So I think you don't have any confusion over here. Now this is the Poynting vector, right? This is the point P of Zt, right? The Poynting vector. Now if we integrate over a time period t, what we will get? We will get the average Poynting vector, right? So once we integrate it over t equal to 2 pi by omega, then what? Then it is about over the time what is the Poynting vector. Okay, so it is over what? Then the time part will vanish. So it is a variable of what it is. It is defined at a particular point. That's it. It is not varying with respect to time, because you have already averaged it over time. So 1 by t integral 0 to t P of Zt dt will give you what? The average point. That is what P average of Z equal to, if you can apply here, to eta e raised minus 2 alpha z, the same equation here. But now we are integrating over dt. If you integrate that, you will get this thing. You can try P average of Z equal to E0 square 2 eta e raised to minus 2 alpha z cos theta eta. Okay, you have this t is what? T equal to 2 pi by omega. If you apply that, you will get this equation. This is the P average value. Now right, this is the P average of Z. Now the total time average power crossing the surface S, right? till now what this is only about the time average, but however whatever is crossing the surfaces, this is about power only. So crossing the surfaces, how we will get over the surface P average dot ds. So that is how we will get the P average over the surface. That which tells you what, which is telling you how much power is going out. Okay. So, just for a physical meaning, our electrical circuit understanding is what this battery is supplying power to this power to light this bulb, and your current is flowing through this, right? So it is supplying the power. But that is one perspective. But you can see it in another way also. In electromagnetics, you can say that your electric field and magnetic field produce. It is guiding the power so that your light can light is lit, or your light is yeah, there is an energy emitted. Okay, so this is how it is happening. Like you have, as you can see, you have these two conductors here on two sides. Then it creates an electric field from one conductor to another, as this red line shows. And around the conductor, you will have magnetic field also. So whatever be the direction of what E crosses, in that direction your energy is really propagated. Okay, frankly, not only through the conductor, even through the outside the conductor also. So right, but not under DC. If you have an AC, let us particularly say that your conductor is not the only thing which is transmitting power. Even the outside also matters. So that is what happens in power transfer. Okay, so this is about Poynting vector. I think we got an idea about the power transfer using an electromagnetic wave. In the next lecture, with this, I think I was taking this lecture combining fifth and sixth module, because some of the parts in syllabus were like that. So with this, our module 5 is completed. Electromagnetic wave propagation is something from the sixth module, but I thought we should first know about wave propagation. Then only you can have an idea about the power which is getting transmitted. So with this, we completed the fifth module completely. In sixth module, we are left with some more topics. So this is about transition lines. I have given you an assignment before, so please complete that by in ET lab. Please complete that by 15th and answer the review question for this lecture before due date. So thank you. We will see you on Monday with the transition lines. Okay.